Organic chemistry. Study of carbon compounds, organic compounds. Hydrocarbons. An organic molecule made up of only carbon and hydrogen atoms. Isomers. Organic compounds with the same molecular formula, but different structure and therefore different properties. Structural isomers. Compounds that have the same molecular formula, but differ in the covalent arrangements of their atoms. Geometric isomers. Compounds that have the same molecular formula, but differ in the spatial arrangements of their atoms. Enantiomers. Molecules that are mirror images of each other. Functional groups. A group of atoms responsible for the characteristic behavior of the class of compounds in which the group occurs, as the hydroxyl group in alcohols. Hydroxyl group. A functional group consisting of a hydrogen atom bonded to an oxygen atom by a polar covalent bond O, which in turn is bonded to the carbon skeleton of a molecule. Molecules possessing this group are water-soluble and called alcohols. Alcohols. Organic compounds containing hydroxyl groups. Carbonyl group. A functional group present in aldehydes and ketones consisting of an oxygen atom double bonded to a carbon atom. Aldehyde. An organic molecule with a carbonyl group at the end terminal of the carbon skeleton. Ketone. Name of carbonyl compound when it is within the C skeleton. Carboxyl group. A functional group present in organic acids consisting of a carbon atom double bonded to an oxygen, and also bonded to a hydroxyl group, COOH. Carboxylic acid. Organic acids, compounds containing a carboxyl group. Amino group. NH2, a functional group composed of nitrogen atom bonded to two hydrogen atoms and the carbon skeleton, can act as a base in solution, accepting a hydrogen ion and acquiring a charge of 1. Amines. Organic compounds with one or more amino groups. Sulfhydryl group. A functional group consisting of a sulfur atom bonded to a hydrogen atom. Thiols. Organic compounds containing sulfhydryl groups. Phosphate group. A functional group consisting of a phosphorus atom covalently bonded to 4 oxygen atoms and is Important in energy transfer. Adenosine triphosphate ATP. Primary energy transferring molecule in the cell. Carbohydrates. Sugars. All sugars have CHO in a ratio of 1:1 and is water-soluble monosaccharide. Monosaccharide. Single sugar molecule that cannot be hydrolyzed to give a simpler sugar, has a 3 to 6 carbon backbone. Disaccharide. A molecule made of 2 monosaccharides. Polysaccharide. A complex molecule composed of 3 or more monosaccharides. Storage polysaccharide. Stored glucose used over time as energy by the organism. Alpha glucose, example starch. Structural polysaccharide. Provide structural support and form to cells. Beta-glucose, X, cellulose, plant cell wall, and chitin, exoskeleton of animal, bugs. Lipid. Organic compound that is insoluble in water, hydrophobic, nonpolar. Saturated fat. Contain all single bonds between carbon and hydrogen. Fats in which all 3 fatty acid chains contain the maximum possible number of hydrogen atoms, solid at room temperature. Unsaturated fat. A lipid made from fatty acids that have at least one double bond between carbon atoms, liquid at room temperature. Building block of polypeptide. Amino acid. Building block of polysaccharide. Monosaccharide. Building block of triglyceride fat. Glycerol fatty acids. Building block of nucleic acid, DNA, RNA. Nucleotides. Nucleotides. Basic units of DNA molecule, composed of a sugar, a phosphate, and one of 4 DNA bases. Nitrogenous bases. TCU equals pyrimidines, AG equals purines. Dehydration synthesis. Remove water to create bonds. Glycosidic linkage. Covalent bonds between bonds that hold monosaccharides together. Hydrolysis. Adding water to create bonds. Peptide bonds. Covalent bonds between amino acids between a carboxyl group of one amino acid and amino group of another amino acid, formed by dehydration. Steroid structure. Structure, 4 fused ring sex hormones. Types of lipids. Fat, steroids, waxes, phospholipids. Types of proteins, structural protein. Fiber proteins, X, keratin, collagen. Types of proteins. Regulatory protein. Controls something X. Insulin. Types of proteins. Defense proteins. Antibodies. Types of proteins. Enzymes. Enzymes are large biological molecules responsible for the thousands of metabolic processes that sustain life. Types of proteins. Transport proteins. Hemoglobin, red blood cells. Structure of polypeptides, primary structure. Chain of amino acids, produce peptide bonds between amino acids. Structure of polypeptides, secondary structure. Formed by alpha helix or a beta sheath by forming hydrogen bonds between the carboxyl group of one amino acid and the amine group of another amino acid. Structure of polypeptides, tertiary structure. Makes one polypeptide. Interactions between the variable groups. A. Hydrogen bonds. B. Ionic bonds. C. Disulfide bridges. D. Hydrophobic reaction. Structure of polypeptides, quaternary structure. Many polypeptides interacting together. Alpha glucose. O on bottom. Beta glucose. O on top. Esther. Bonds between lipids. Bohr planetary model. Know what it looks like. Isomer. Compounds with the same formula, but in a different arrangement of atoms in the molecule and properties. Hydrocarbon. Organic molecules consisting of only carbon and hydrogen. Example, sugar. Enantiomers. Isomers that are mirror images of each other. Stuctural isomers. Different covalent arrangement of their atoms. What are the 7 functional groups? Methyl phosphate, methyl sulfhydryl phosphate amino group, sulfhydryl carboxyl amino group, carbonyl. Ketone, aldehyde, carboxyl hydroxyl carbonyl, ketone, aldehyde. Explain the hydroxyl group. A hydroxyl is a chemical functional group containing an oxygen atom connected by a covalent bond to a hydrogen atom, a pairing that can be simply understood as a substructure of the water molecule. Explain the carbonyl group. In organic chemistry, a carbonyl group is a functional group composed of a carbon atom double bonded to an oxygen atom, C=O. It is common to several classes of organic compounds, as part of many larger functional groups. Explain the carboxyl group. Explain the amino group. Amines are organic compounds and functional groups that contain a basic nitrogen atom with a lone pair. Amines are derivative of ammonia, wherein one or more hydrogen atoms have been replaced by a substituent such as an alkyl or aryl group. Explain the sulfhydryl group. In organic chemistry, ethyl is an organosulfur compound that contains a carbon-bonded sulfhydryl. See Schush group, where R represents an alkane, alkene, or other carbon-containing group of atoms. Explain the phosphate group. A phosphate as an inorganic chemical is a salt of phosphoric acid. In organic chemistry, a phosphate, or organophosphate, is an ester of phosphoric acid. Organic phosphates are important in biochemistry and biogeochemistry or ecology. Inorganic phosphates are mined to obtain phosphorus for use in agriculture and industry. Explain the methyl group is an alkyl derived from methane, containing one carbon atom bonded to 3 hydrogen atoms, CH3. The group is often abbreviated Me. What is adenosine triphosphate? The primary energy transferring molecule in the cell. Tetrahedron. 4 single bonds. Ability to rotate also gives flexibility to carbon bonds X, methane CH4. Planar. Double bond flat shape, unable to rotate, ethane C2H6. Backbone diversity. Length branching double bonds rings F.